Hello, SpongeX here. When it comes to anime, I never really got into it as a kid, but I did grow up watching the Pokemon anime. I kind of outgrew that show during the middle of the Advance saga. I still play the games occasionally, but it wasn't until I saw Spirited Away on Toonami's Month of Miyazaki back in 2006 where I became a fan of Studio Ghibli. These anime movies were the only ones that ever really stood out to me. But over the years, I've listened to some people voice their opinions, and I heard that there's other great anime movies out there by other studios. I've ended up seeing a few, including Akira, Paprika, Weathering with You, and Riding Your Wave. I enjoyed these movies, but there was one studio that really stood out to me, and that was Studio Chizu. I've only seen 2 Studio Chizu movies so far. The first one is arguably their best film, and that's Wolf Children. I've wanted to see this movie for years. I heard it was really good, but I couldn't find it on any streaming services, and the Blu-rays were at scalper prices. Luckily, more copies are coming out this August, and I made sure to pre-order one, but I just saw the movie in theaters the day after Mother's Day 2025, and that movie teared me up more than any movie I've ever seen. I loved it. I just wish I didn't have to drive 2 hours out of town to see it, because no theater within a 30-mile radius would bother playing a decent anime film for just 3 measly days. Man, I tell you, they treat animation so terribly, especially ones that aren't made in America. It's so annoying. So, I'd love to talk about Wolf Children, but I don't have footage for that movie, which would make for a really boring review. So, I'll just move on to the other Chizu movie I saw, and that was 2021's Belle, directed by Mamoru Hosoda. I hope I pronounced that right. So, Belle was a big hit in Japan, being the 3rd highest selling movie in 2021. When the film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, it got a 14-minute standing ovation as the movie ended. Man, people in my theater only clapped for 10 seconds when Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 ended, and everyone was still seated. So, Belle had 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, and sadly the movie had a very limited release in the US, and it did not sell very well. It was released around the same time as COVID-19 restrictions were being lifted. People were still hesitant to visit movie theaters. So, I finally saw the movie on Max, and I loved it. As soon as the movie ended, I kid you not, I had tears in my eyes. I went straight to my phone, went straight to Amazon, and ordered a Blu-ray copy. I was basically telling the people who made it, here, take my money, you deserve it, this movie's beautiful. So, the movie is loosely inspired by Disney's Beauty and the Beast. I'd best describe the movie as, it's like Beauty and the Beast meets Ready Player One. The movie focuses on a very shy and awkward girl named Chizu. She once had a talent for making music, thanks to the encouragement from her parents, but she lost her will and ability to make music after tragically losing her mom at a young age. Her mom tried saving a little girl who got separated from her mom by strong river rapids. Suzu's mom tried going in to rescue the girl and ended up drowning in the process. Chizu grew up not understanding her mom's heroic sacrifice. Trying to save her, she saw as her mother thinking someone else's child was more important than her. One day, Suzu's best friend Hiroka invites Chizu to join in on the hottest video game called You. It's basically one of those oversized chat room simulations where people goof around in 3D spaces with 3D avatars. Kind of like VR chat, I guess, without the VR headset. What makes this one so different from VR chat is how the game works by scanning the user's biometrics. All they need is a computer, a monitor, a smartphone, and these special earbuds that sync with the app. The game ends up reading the user's biometrics to determine their avatar's appearance. It's basically making like the perfect blend of their insides and outs. So, Chizu doesn't think much of her appearance, but is shocked to see that her You avatar is a beautiful woman with long pink hair. There's a fun fact behind this. They got a longtime Disney animator named Jin Kim to design for Belle. So, Chizu ends up naming her avatar Belle, for that's what the name Chizu translates to. As Chizu enters You, she tries singing, and she's surprised that her avatar has a beautiful singing voice. She's finally able to sing out these songs that she's written in her head. So overnight, Chizu is horrified to find out that everyone on You, and even real life, they're talking about Belle. And she's worried about people actually finding out that Belle is just a shy nobody like her. So half of the users on You are hating her, while the other half are loving her. You see people criticizing her for her looks or her voice or her songs, just many different reasons. You see people sharing why they don't like her or why they like her. Hiroka becomes Chizu's manager, and she helps guide Belle to stardom, pulling off all these virtual concerts for all of you to see.
I'm so dead! So what?
One night during Belle's concert, her show gets crashed by a dragon, getting chased off by a self-appointed group that call themselves the Justices, led by their leader Justin. Now, in the Japanese version of the film, they called him Dragon. The English one, they tried calling him Beast, but I'm just gonna, despite how I saw the English dub, I'm just gonna call him Dragon. Justin is basically a control freak. He claims that there's no law or authority in Yu, so he decided to take matters into his own hands to try to judge how things should go in Yu. So Justin has a ray gun that will expose the dragon's human identity for all to see, in hopes of embarrassing the dragon to quit the game forever, but the dragon manages to flee. So basically, Justin is a self-entitled control freak. He's jealous that there's someone who is overpowered in the fighting tournament mode of this game, and he wants to put himself on top by humiliating the best player. So, despite how the dragon ruined Belle's concert, Belle is the only one who is able to sense sadness and pain within the dragon, and she's the only one who cares and wants to help him out. She wants to find out his true identity, not to embarrass him, but to help him. So there is a lot that happens in this film, and it admittedly has some pacing issues, but if you can overlook it, it's a beautiful movie. Now, I saw the English dub, and I gotta admit that Kylie McNeil did an amazing job voicing both Chizu and Belle. Her singing voice is amazing. When the movie came out, people were shocked to see an English dub of an anime with such amazing songs that sound very similar to the Japanese version, because usually a lot of Japanese media, they don't have songs, and if they do, they're not really made to appeal to like a Western audience. And so you get like songs like Simple and Clean from Kingdom Hearts, where you could say it's a nice sounding song, but when you listen to the lyrics, they don't make a lot of sense. So there's only 4 songs in this movie, all sung by Kylie McNeil, mostly as Belle, but there are a few times where Chizu sings those songs without her Belle persona. I really wish I could share with you some samples to demonstrate how good Kylie McNeil's singing is, along with how good the music in this film is, but I don't want to get copyright blocked, so there are a few uploads of the music tracks from Belle on YouTube if you look for them, along with some clips of Kylie McNeil singing outside of the movie. So keep in mind that Kylie McNeil is not a longtime famous singer. She was discovered for the movie Belle, and she's only been in 2 other movies since then. I really hope that she goes places, because she earned a fan after I watched this movie. It's amazing when a voice artist can play a character who can sing really well, and then they can also play a character who cannot sing at all. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to the world of Yu with the movie's opening number, called Yu. What an epic way to open up a movie. It starts off sounding like a big marching band performance, wanting to merge into something more experimental. A lot of mixed music genres merging together, making something that you've never heard before, but it really pumps you up for the emotional roller coaster you're about to go on. We suddenly see a giant whale flying over all the colorful avatars. The whale has music speakers in place of barnacles, and on top of its head is where we meet Belle as she's getting us pumped up with this really energetic song. And so right as the song ends, it cuts to a flashback in the real world where we meet Belle's real-life counterpart, Chizu. She's a shy and lonely girl. We see how the other kids at school want her to participate with them in different activities, but she doesn't feel like she's worthy of being with anyone after feeling abandoned by her own mom at a young age. We see how Chizu is dragged into a party where everyone is singing karaoke to Yu's most popular pop idol, Peggy Sue. As Suzu's classmates try encouraging her to sing along, Chizu freaks out and leaves the party. While by her lonesome, she tries gaining the courage to sing a song that she wrote herself, but she chokes up and ends up even vomiting. It still amazes me how Kylie was able to voice such a timid character who can't gain the courage to sing, and then all of a sudden you see her singing beautifully when she's in the Belle persona. It's amazing how it's the same voice actress. So, I've already mentioned the film's opening song, Yu. The other songs include Gales of Song, which plays during the film's title drop, along with being the first song that Belle sings as Chizu makes her debut in the world of Yu. The third song is another beautiful song called Lend Me Your Voice. It was first sung by Chizu as she's trying to come up with a song for the dragon as an attempt to try helping him, followed by Belle later singing the song to the dragon. This part is basically an homage to the ballroom scene from Beauty and the Beast, except they're dancing in midair during this part. Like, when I first heard people calling this, like, the Japanese Beauty and the Beast, I remember, like, seeing previews for this, and it's like, nothing about this is giving me Beauty and the Beast vibes. And then, when you actually watch the movie, you do see that there are some sprinkles of it in there, but they feel like they play such a minor role to the overall story. And finally, the most emotional song in the movie, A Million Miles Away, played during the film's powerful climax. Probably some of the most emotional 8 minutes I've ever gotten out of a movie. So, this was the song that Chizu tried singing earlier in the movie. It felt like a song that she wrote about her mom. It's like a song that was meant for her mom, about her mom leaving her and her wishing that she would come back. but she was able to take the lyrics of that song and apply it to the dragon and still have it keep its meaning. So it's impossible to talk about why A Million Miles Away is the film's biggest highlight without going into major spoilers. Not enough people talk about this movie or go in depth enough with it, so sometimes the only way to get people interested in wanting to watch a movie for themselves, especially if it's one that they never heard of, is to end up telling them why it's so good. Sometimes you have to spoil a movie to get people interested. So just a heads up, it gets very dark during this point of the movie, so it really earned its PG rating. Much later on in the movie, Belle manages to piece together who the dragon really was. She comes across a live stream of an autistic boy named Tomo singing to Lend Me Your Voice. Chizu is wondering how the boy knows that song since she only sang that song to the dragon. It turns out that the boy was one of the characters in You, a tiny white angel avatar who the dragon constantly protected in his castle. The live stream gets harshly interrupted by a very disturbed and abusive father as he gets annoyed by his son singing and threatens to shut him up by hitting him, only for an older brother named Kai to come in and protect his little brother. Belle suddenly pieces together by Kai's actions that he's the dragon. Chizu tries calling him and offers some help, but Kai believes that she's just there to make fun of them like everyone else. We see other rude users chiming into the video to laugh over how they're witnessing child abuse, and they're not taking it seriously, they're laughing over it. So Chizu tries claiming that she's Belle, in hopes that that will reach them, but Kai doesn't believe her, and he yells at her to leave them alone as he hangs up. Chizu ends up going back into You as Belle, but she sacrifices her Belle identity, as she has Justin use his truth-revealing laser to reveal her true self in front of all of you. We see how everyone is in shock or disbelief of how Chizu looks nothing like Belle. Some of them even flat out mocked her. Despite being embarrassed of having her image of Belle shattered, Chizu decides to sing a song as a desperate cry to both Kei and Tomo, letting them know that she wants to help them. Chizu ends up singing a song called A Million Miles Away, a very heartfelt song, and it moved everyone to tears, only for Chizu to get embarrassed and tear up mid-performance. Everyone in You begs her to keep on singing as they all join in singing with her. The crowd's encouragement gets so large that their hearts start glowing, causing Belle to return and finish the song in a very big and triumphant way. I wish I saw this movie in theaters. Not only is this part visually stunning with all the lights, the giant whale, and even Belle herself, all the avatars in the background, but the music and vocals are enough to make a grown man cry. It's like, oh, I wish I saw this in theaters with a big screen and all the surround sound. That would have been stunning. If it was stunning enough on a small screen, it would have been phenomenal in theaters. So after Suzu's powerful song, Kei and Tomo begin to realize that Chizu really is Belle, and they decide that they want to talk to her. They try resuming their live stream with her, but their dad discovers Tomo uploaded footage of him threatening them online, and he once again interrupts the stream and shuts it off. With the help of Suzu's friends, they're able to do some detective work and piece together where in Tokyo the boys might live, as Chizu heroically adventures off on her own to desperately find the boys and help them. She's able to find the boys, she hugs them, only for the abusive father to show up and threaten them, but Chizu stands her ground and protects the boys, causing the dad to chicken out and run away. The movie ends with Chizu returning home, as all of Chizu's friends are proud of her for doing something so risky in order to save those boys' lives. Now, the main reason I wanted to make this video is because, while the movie got a lot of praise, I noticed a lot of negative video reviews about this on YouTube. People claiming the movie's message is harmful, or people saying that they hated the movie because nothing was explained. People just nitpick this movie so unfairly. They were able to say the songs were really good, but it wasn't enough to make the movie enjoyable. Now, it's okay that not everyone has to like the same movies. It's okay to have nitpicks in a movie. It's okay to say what you didn't like about a movie, but I find it weird when people take nitpicks so seriously that it ruins a movie for them. It's like they want an answer for everything. They demand the entire movie to be told to them like a storybook or something. And now I've seen nitpicks over how does You even work? Do players use a game controller? What is there even to do in You? It's nothing but characters floating around in a city in front of a white background. I think it's great that this movie leaves a lot of questions unanswered. It allows viewers to have their own interpretations of how things in a movie should work. Look at how many movie adaptations turn out disappointing to a lot of viewers because they aren't like what the individual readers read when reading the original book it was based on. I felt like this movie didn't need to show us many back and forths between the characters in the real world, moving their characters around with a joystick. In my head, I was able to see the avatars being controlled with the player's biometrics. It's like those earpieces that they were wearing. It allowed the users to transfer their thoughts in order to control the characters with their minds. Could you imagine how cool that would be, though, if we had technology like that in real life? Like, there's a lot of times where I want to draw something and I'm honestly not the best. I'm not skilled enough, not steady enough. There's a lot of things I try drawing out and I just can't get it right. And so what if we had technology like that where you have like these headpieces where you just think and then automatically you can control things using your mind. So imagine like using an art program and you can draw circles just by thinking it. To me, it's like that would be much better than AI because it still uses some mental power to get it done. It still needs one person's mind and creativity. I would die if that ever happened. That would be so cool. Now that's kind of the fun thing about vague movies like this. People can just use their imaginations to fill in the blanks. I don't feel like movies have to explain absolutely everything. Sometimes it's fun to fill in your own interpretations. Sometimes it's fun to even share those interpretations and find out how others saw a movie differently. I've seen people criticize how stupid the plot is. Like, why do people care about the dragon? Like, why do they care about who he really is? Or, why does Chizu care about finding out who he is? I already explained to people why there were people who wanted the dragon exposed. It's because they were bitter man-children who couldn't accept the fact that they got beaten by a better player in a video game, so they tried banding together to humiliate the dragon by showing his real self in hopes of scaring him off of the game. Some people might not see that as a big deal, but it can be for some people. Some people in real life are very embarrassed of themselves for a number of reasons. People can have anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, or mental handicaps. Many people don't like their own appearance or their own voices. Some people find comfort in hiding their identities, whether in online video games or with online avatars. It's a great way for these people to feel comfortable in expressing themselves. Some people find it scarier to be judged in real life with people that they can actually see or hear. So with online communities, sure, people can still be harshly judged, but if that happens, these users can easily block those people out so they don't get bullied or harassed. Going back to Chizu wanting to help the dragon. I didn't question at all why she wanted to help this dragon who crashed her concert. It showed that Chizu was different from the other users. They all automatically joined in to call the dragon a bad guy, despite knowing nothing about him. They just hear rumors of how he beat all these other people in fighting tournaments, but that's part of video games. In video games, there are fighting tournaments, so Chizu was able to notice that the dragon was in pain. He had bruises on his back. Chizu was able to see what others weren't able to see with him, because they were too busy joining in on the hate bandwagon. It also felt necessary for Chizu's development. She grew up not understanding why her mom risked her life to save a child she never even met. So as soon as Chizu sees a character in a video game being treated horribly, she suddenly has her mother's instinct to dive in and try helping that person, despite how she doesn't even know him. And she doesn't even question why she's doing it, she just does it by instinct. It's what makes that long pause during A Million Miles Away so impactful, as Chizu risked everything by sacrificing her Belle identity and desperately sings her heart out. Her eyes widen and her jaw drops as she finally understands why her mom did what she did. So she is doing the exact same thing that her mom did, risking everything to help a stranger in need. Now, one valid criticism I do agree with is in regards to the bruises on the dragon's back. The dragon is said to have bruises on his back, which actually reflect the beatings that Kay got from his dad. But the movie admittedly could have done a better job at redesigning the dragon to make the bruises more visually stand out. They look more like abstract floral patterns or like some kind of paint splat on the back of his cape. It's not easy to recognize that his cape has holes in them. His bruises blend in way too well with the designs on his cape, and so when Belle first asks, "Are those bruises?" I've seen this movie like 4 times already, and I still don't see any bruises whenever she brings that up. It isn't until a later scene in the movie, during the end of the song Lend Me Your Voice, when it's implied that Kay is taking a beating from his dad in real life, as we suddenly see the dragon hunched over with these glowing red bruises appearing on his back. That's the only time the bruises were ever noticeable in this movie. Another criticism I've seen people have with this movie is when something bad happens in the game, people ask, why didn't these people just log off? I mean, if something bad happens in a video game, just log off. Problem solved. Oh, Dragon's about to have his identity exposed. Why doesn't he just log off? Yeah, like logging off will magically solve all of their problems. Maybe that works with a single-player game where everything reloads upon reset, but a live service online game The dragon already has a bad enough reputation with the corrupt justices spreading around the world of you trying to hunt him down. Maybe the players know logging off won't solve anything, because no matter how many times they log back in, they'll always spawn back to where the justices are. There's no safe haven for them, so what's the point in logging off? They want to keep playing the game, and there are people telling them to get out. And yeah, usually when people feel like they have the right to be somewhere, they don't let people who telling them to get out get in their way. Maybe these characters see logging off as a coward's way to go. I know I hate it when people are winning at an online game, but a poor sport ruins it for everyone by rage quitting the game, causing the winners to not get their records or reward points for all the time they spent getting that far. Yeah, it's just not fair. So, just because a sore loser couldn't accept defeat. I seriously question people who suggest the characters in Belle should have just logged off to solve all of their problems. Are these the kind of people in real life who just rage quit from Mario Kart because they got hit by a blue shell or something? Like ruining the fun for everyone else? I don't know. So, some people questioned why all the characters in U weren't exposed to have real life counterparts that play a role in the story. For instance, people question why the main villain, Justin, why didn't we see his real life counterpart? In the end, does it really matter? Would we really need a forced-in twist that Justin was Kei's abusive father all along, or he was a random school principal at Suzu's school or something? Would that really have added to the story? Some people complained, why didn't we ever learn who Peggy Sue was in real life? Who cares? Peggy Sue wasn't even a major character. She was there to be a mean girl stereotype, showing that she was the most popular singer in U until Belle came along. Her inclusion was only to make the climax more emotional, when Suzu reveals herself as Belle's true identity. We go from seeing Peggy Sue hating Belle to feeling bad for trash-talking Belle as soon as she realizes that Belle was a regular girl just like her. I don't think we needed a cut to a previously seen character to fit the pieces together that, oh, that character was Peggy Sue all along. That wasn't necessary. Or some people even question why Suzu's crush Shinobu, why wasn't he shown with an avatar in the game? The answer is simple, he's not interested in playing the video game. Not everyone has to like the exact same thing. I feel like people have very unrealistic expectations for this animated movie. Keep in mind that the world is a big place, and not everyone happens to live the exact same lives. Not everyone lives in the exact same town. Not everyone plays online video games. It would have felt too forced if every character in this movie was a player of U. Even a silly series like Pokemon understands this. Sure, Pokemon takes place in a fantasy world where once a kid turns 10 years old, they're allowed to go off on their own and acquire their first Pokemon, adventuring off to who knows where, getting into battles, contests, and other career opportunities. Despite that setup, the Pokemon franchise has shown that just because this world is full of Pokemon, that does not mean that every human in that world has to acquire or work with Pokemon. They don't all have to become Pokemon trainers. There are plenty of human characters seen without Pokemon, some who are even terrified of Pokemon, just like how in real life there are some people who are afraid of dogs or cats. People seriously expected the movie Belle to have everyone being able to acquire a likely very expensive video game console, along with a computer and a smartphone and an accessory that goes with the game, required to read your biometrics and all that. I mean, I don't get why people are saying this movie is not very realistic, but then they're thinking very unrealistically in the process. I think it's cool that not every character in Belle has a U avatar, but it does make it really cool for the eagle-eyed fans to be able to spot out that some of the characters from the movie actually do show up as U avatars without the movie having to spell it out for you. For instance, you have the very popular girl Ruka and her crush Kamishine. During their first appearances in the movie, we see how Ruka likes playing the saxophone. And then Kamishine, we see how he's into kayaking. So during the film's climax, when everyone is joining in to sing with Suzu, you see two avatars standing next to each other. You see a girl who can play a saxophone, and right next to her is a dog-like creature that's holding an oar. As soon as I saw those two standing next to each other, I thought, oh my god, I think that's Ruka and Kamishine. That's really cool. I like how they didn't have to have a moment where, like, Suzu looks at them and goes like, wait a minute, is that you, Ruka? Or, you know, I like how they didn't have to do that. It's like, it was just a fun little reward for those who were paying attention to the movie. Those who were smart enough to piece it together. And then, speaking of Ruka and Kamishine, by the way, that 3-minute scene with them at the train station, that is hilarious. I remember hearing people talking about the scene. Some were saying, like, it's the best part of the movie, it's the funniest part of the movie. Yeah, I cracked up at that awkward but wholesome scene. It was so good.
Are you trying to tell me that you have a crush on me?
The other Avatar teas would have to be with the 5 chorus ladies. At first they seem like very useless background characters, but they do play a larger role in helping Chizu with helping out Kei and Tomo during the climax. So just like with Ruka and Kamashin's avatar teases, we also have these 5 strange looking creatures singing in unison. As soon as I saw them, I couldn't help but think, oh, I think that's the 5 chorus ladies. Now, it's kind of funny to think how these 5 older chorus ladies spend their free time goofing off in an online community game that's likely made for kids and teenagers. It feels rare to find people that age being into online socialization. So it might go even further than that though, because at the beginning of the movie, it was mentioned how Yu was created by 5 people called the Voices. Now, is it possible that those 5 chorus ladies might be responsible for creating a very popular video game that uses very state-of-the-art technology, including biometrics and stuff like that? I think it might be a coincidence, but it's still kind of strange that they tease the viewers like that. The biggest controversy of nitpicks with this movie is during the final act. People complained how ridiculous it was for Chizu to go off alone to a city she's never been to in hopes of trying to rescue 2 boys from a man who could hurt or kill her. People questioned why 2 of the chorus ladies drove her to the train station but didn't accompany her to make sure that she is safe and all that. So, people questioned why no one didn't bother calling the police. Well, they already tried calling someone for help. They didn't say who they called, but you saw how one of the chorus ladies tried calling someone to report how there's 2 boys who might be in danger. However, they didn't have enough info about Kei or Tomo at the time. They didn't know where they lived, and people on the phone said that they wouldn't be able to check in on them until after a 48-hour evaluation. So Chizu knew that she couldn't wait that long, and she rushed off to help the boys herself. Admittedly, yes, in real life, letting a kid go off on their own to rescue kids from a violent man is a very dangerous and stupid thing to do. But for crying out loud, this is just a movie, and it makes the situation more impactful in the end. People complained how easily the dad was defeated. All Chizu did was hold out her arms and give a serious look back to the dad until he cowered and fled. People complained that that didn't feel realistic. Oh, I'm sorry, would this ending have been better if the dad ended up beating Chizu to death, or if she broke character and pulled out a gun out of nowhere and shot him or something? What were people wanting? And then some people questioned why the dad cowered away so easily. Well, it could be a number of reasons. Maybe he was finally realizing that what he was doing was wrong. Maybe he doesn't have it in him to hurt a girl. It's like, really, people can't bother using their imaginations and try thinking of a logical explanation? Some abusive figures, they're used to being able to hurt things because things don't bother fighting back with them. And so, to see someone actually standing up against him, because throughout the movie, despite how Kei has been protecting his brother, we constantly see him always getting down in a hunched over position. It's like he's ready to take a beating. And so here we have Chizu. She's not being submissive. She stands up to him with her arms wide out, letting him know that she is not going to let him hurt those kids. And maybe that was intimidating for him. It won't work with anyone who would try attacking it, but I'll bet you it would work for some. Some people aren't used to people being willing to fight back, and when they're encountered with someone willing to stand their ground, maybe it does intimidate them. So people complained how we never got any clear-cut answers for what happened to the boys or their abusive father. We see the dad run away as the boys hug Chizu and thank her again. So, what's so bad about filling in the blanks? That's all I want to know. There are too many movies where people complain about the ending. They didn't like how the villain was defeated. They didn't like how he got locked up. They didn't like how he got reformed. They didn't like how he got killed. No matter what people do with movies, people will always find a reason to complain. They'll complain that they didn't like how this character got romantically involved with this character over this character, or always something that gets people so worked up. So, I like the open ending. I like to imagine that Chizu accompanied the boys to a police station. She reported everything that their dad had put them through. I like to imagine that the dad was found and arrested for child abuse. And then Kei and Tomo went to a foster home. They got adopted by more loving parents, and they still keep in touch with Chizu, whether it's through you or a simple phone messenger. Not everything in a movie needs to be over-explained. This is already a 2-hour-long movie, for crying out loud. People just don't know how to be creative nowadays. They don't know how to use their own imaginations to fill in the blanks. I'll admit the movie is not perfect. There are a few things that could have been explained better. Some scenes go by way too fast, while others go by a little too slow. Some characters felt unneeded to the overall story. Honestly, I think the biggest nitpick I have with this movie is the character of Justin. He was just a very boring antagonist. He was only there so Belle could take his truth laser to reveal herself. during the climax. I mean, I feel like there are better ways they could have rewrote that, but Justin's defeat was more underwhelming compared to the abusive dad's punishment. I mean, because this was a villain who was in the movie longer, where the abusive dad just appeared towards the end. So for the villain who was the more focal antagonist throughout the movie, I felt like the way he was defeated was a little more underwhelming. He just loses all of his sponsors, and he's in disbelief that Chizu isn't dying of embarrassment after Belle's image was erased. We don't see, like, the crowd booing at him for how poorly he mistreated people throughout the movie or anything. The movie just ignores him for the rest of it. It doesn't even give him an exit. We don't see him running away in fear or anything. You just see him losing his sponsors and saying, like, "What's happening?" as Belle's popularity is rising. So it's like, yeah, kind of an underwhelming defeat for him compared to the abusive dad. It's not a big deal, though. Not every movie has to have a big villain throughout, but Justin was just a very forgettable villain for this movie. I just felt like a lot of people were way too harsh with this movie, but newsflash, even the most beloved movies have flaws and nitpicks. So people ended up saying Belle's a bad movie for it has too many questionable nitpicks or strange executions. Well, with that logic, let's go ahead and call Finding Nemo a bad movie for the unrealistic expectations of a fish journeying across the ocean to rescue his son from the surface. Let's call Toy Story a bad movie because Buzz Lightyear pretended to be a toy despite how he believed he was an actual space ranger from a TV show. If he really thought he was a real space ranger, why'd he play dead with all the other toys when they heard someone coming? Let's call Wreck-It Ralph a bad movie for implying that there are living creatures that live inside our video game consoles or computers, and they get killed off if we unplug the games without giving the creatures inside enough time to evacuate. You see how silly it is to hate a decent movie just because things aren't realistic? That's the problem with the world today. People think everything has to be realistic. Cartoons aren't allowed to be a thing anymore. Fantasy isn't allowed to be a thing anymore. Everything has to be wiped out with bland and colorless live-action remakes with heavy and soulless use of CGI. Video games aren't allowed to be colorful and fantastical anymore. Everything has to look like a gritty war zone, a real-life copy-and-pasted city, or a bland forest. I think people need to loosen up and face the fact that being realistic or lifelike does not automatically make things good or better. Right now, real life is one of the most depressing things that people have to go through, and many people want to escape that into movies or video games. But it's hard to do that when even the things we escape to are starting to be more like real life. It's ruining the point of escapism. For me, Belle is a great mixture of real life and fantasy. It portrays the real world as a very bleak-looking place, but it's still filled with seemingly nice people. Meanwhile, in the world of You, the world looks bigger and more colorful, yet the characters are a lot meaner to each other. It's got a lot of great commentary on how people are a lot more hostile on the internet, when they feel like their real-life name or their real-life appearances are hidden. It shows how hurtful and cruel people can be. And this movie doesn't encourage people to be like that. I first watched Belle during a low point in my life, and this was the right movie I needed at the right time. It's one that mixes reality with fantasy really well. It shows the harshness in both real life and social networking, but it gives a powerful and uplifting message and encourages us to try and better ourselves along with the others around us. It wants us to be less hostile with others and try being more considerate and encouraging to those around us. It's overall a beautiful movie with gorgeous animation, an emotional story, and an unforgettable soundtrack. I kid you not, it's been 3 weeks since I first saw this movie, and I still can't get the songs out of my head. I've played both You and A Million Miles Away at least like once or twice a day since I first saw this movie, and I'm still not tired of those songs. It's a movie I will never forget. Overall, I give Belle a 9 out of 10, and I heavily encourage people to watch it, whether it's on Max or if you can go online and find yourself a Blu-ray copy. I was able to find one for as low as $17, so that's actually a really good deal considering how most Blu-ray movies are either $35 or they're listed at ridiculous scalper prices. So yeah, I got a really good deal on that. Anyways, that's all I have to show for now. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and have a great day.